All right, this is a video recording of lecture for Chapter 8. This is our last chapter. We're going to discuss this in two different parts. We're going to talk about language first, then delivery. All right, so the first thing that we need to know is the definition of a symbol. A symbol is something that stands for something else in our mind. For example, our language is built on a set of symbols, which we would call letters, or in its entirety, the alphabet. So if I put these three symbol combinations together, these actually have what's called a phoneme, which is a sound for each of those letters, but in combination, this is cat. All right, so the connection between the symbol and the actual object is an arbitrary connection. So in essence, in our language, we have made up our symbol system, but also their connection to the object is made up. This is an arbitrary made-up connection. We can go back and think about Gorgias and the sophist tradition that we can't find the truth because the only way we're going to get to the truth is we're using a set of symbols to actually propagate what's true. So in all actuality, these three letters, C-A-T, do they actually relate to this object cat? We humans have made this system up. This is an arbitrary system. So therefore, we don't know exactly if what we're doing is true. All right, so the next definition is language. So for any language to work, it has to be a unified system of symbols used to create shared meaning. So for our alphabet to work is that in its structure system, we have our different letters, A, B, C, D, E, all the way to X, Y, and Z. Okay, each of these letters have their own shape, like V, have their own sound, B, but also have their own name, which is B. All of this is made up, but for this to work, we all have to agree on the language. We all have to agree on the symbols. We have to agree on what they look like, which would be their shape, but also we have to agree on how they sound. But English is tricky because depending upon where these consonants and vowels sit in a word is that they could be used or not. They could be silent and actually they could change. For example, if we have C-A-T, A is cat, but if we put a vowel on the end, this ends up being Kate. If we look at this word, is the G is silent, nat, but in another word like giraffe, G turns into a J. So all of these different things are very arbitrary, but you have to understand that that's what makes language unique. That's what makes humans unique, because we can make up the system and we can change the system anytime that we want. Just like possum. It has an O, but the O is silent and we never say it. All right, so there's two different meanings of the words. We can remember this from English class. We have what is considered the connotative meaning, and we have what is considered the denotative meaning. All right, so the connotative meaning is the implied meaning. It's the one that we create. The denotative meaning is the agreed upon meaning based upon a standard, like our dictionary. So any word symbol that you come across is that more than likely it has been defined, and as we know is that new words are always added to the dictionary every year. But these are the ones that are agreed upon. But connotative is what gives our language the layers, because these meanings are implied. All right, let's look at these text messages and how language using different symbols, where they're placed, how we say it can change the meaning of the message. So these are text messages gone wrong. So the first one says, I have to stay after school for leadership. How long? Till 5:30. Okay, if you need me sober, let me know. Otherwise, I'll be there at 5:30. Yes, Mom, I'll need you sober. Sober, look back. Dang, autocorrect. I meant sooner. So if we look at this message and comparing sober and sooner as far as language symbol choices, These are distinctively different, and this is what makes this text message funny, because sober has a connotation that this person has been drinking alcohol. Sooner means that they want them to come before the actual activity ends. All right, so trust me, winky face. Fine, LOL. Even the word LOL for your generation is laugh out loud. For me, it has meant something else, which it always meant to me, lots of love. So even this could actually be connotated differently. You're my STD muffin, you know? Thank you, stud muffin. I meant stud muffin. For this to be funny, you have to understand what STD is an acronym for, which means sexually transmitted disease. So therefore, you're my STD muffin would be a super negative as opposed to calling the person a stud muffin. All right, with this text message from mom, we know moms are crazy at times and they don't know how to use technology at times. So the mother says, your great aunt passed away, capital LOL. All right. And in your generation, LOL means lots of laughs, but also with her doing it capitalized doesn't mean that she is basically yelling LOL. The person responds, why is that funny? She says, it's not funny, David. What do you mean? Mom, LOL means laughing out loud. She says, oh my goodness, I sent that to everyone. I thought it meant lots of love. I have to call everyone back. Oh God. All right, so this is a sign, and to remind you that spelling does matter. Okay, so they said that they're inviting you to an anal egg hunt, April 12th at 10 a.m., free family event. Now, we know that there is a possibility that they meant annual. Annual means yearly. Anal means something totally different, and I don't know about you, but I'm not going to an anal egg hunt for fear of where they're going to hide the eggs. All right, spelling does matter because either this can be very philosophical or totally stupid. So this person said that they're going to regret knowing. So instead of it being philosophical that they're going to regret nothing, they actually put something ridiculous tattooed on their arm, which is a case in point when you're getting a tattoo is make sure that the person knows how to spell. All right, so I'm going to read these particular phrases and talk about the connotative meaning of both depending upon how I say it. All right, that is one bad woman. All right, so sometimes the word bad can mean good, but also bad can mean like bad. So if we were at a jail and we were going through this particular block and I say that's one bad woman, it's more than likely we know that this person that's been incarcerated, that bad at this point means bad. But if some guy is out and about or at a bar and sees some woman that looks attractive to him and he says, oh, that's one bad woman, is that connotatively bad turns into good. All right, do you have any grass? All right, grass in this component, if I work for a lawn care system or you were looking for somebody to mow your grass and a person asks, do you have any grass? Is that more likely we're just talking about your lawn? All right, but on the street, if I asked you, do you have any grass? Is that more than likely is that I'm asking for marijuana, which they're two totally different connotations, same symbol, but it can mean two different things depending upon context and how the person says it. All right, this is very heavy. Heavy has two different connotations. For example, it could mean heavy, like it weighs a lot, like I'm holding an elephant and I say, oh, that's very heavy. Or it could be the situation. So the situation is deep. All right, you're hot. Now, if you're at the doctor's office and they're about to take your temperature, is that hot could mean temperature, but also hot could mean that someone is good looking. So right here in this particular sentence, we have two different connotations, again, for the same symbol. All right, I don't want you to hit on me. All right, So hit could actually mean a physical punch, which would be a super negative, or hit on me could mean flirt, which is a totally different connotation. All right, one thing that you figured out is that words have the ability to evolve. That's one of the beauties of the English language. That's one of the awesome components of the human brain, is that we can imagine the imaginary. Therefore, we make up word symbols all the time. But also, some words die. All right, and there's reasons why they die, because there's a possibility that the object that we're referring to with the verbal symbol we don't use anymore. And there's one word symbol that's died within my lifetime. There's several, but one that I remember is the typewriter. Typewriter is not said anymore. Okay, we've changed it to keyboard because we've moved to computers. Also, new words can be created. Just think, prior to January 2020, February 2020, and March 2020, there is a grand possibility that you never heard of the word symbol coronavirus. Well, the reason why we never heard of it, because up to that point, within the last however many years, is that this virus didn't exist. As soon as it existed, we actually supplied a word symbol to it. Because as soon as something exists, humans have the capability, and we like to actually give it a category and a symbol name. All right, one thing that you need to remember is that when you're using language, you need to use it accurately, or confusion can be involved. For example, criminal prosecution is totally different than criminal persecution. You need to use language clearly, okay? When we're using language clearly, is that we're avoiding what is considered vague language. All right. So using words like this, that, these, and those, or that thing, is you're not being very specific in what you're talking about. Therefore, confusion can arise. But also, your language needs to be appropriate for the setting, for the speaker, and for the topic. All right, so if there's a fill in the blank on the final and it asks you about using language, could you put accurately, clearly, and appropriately? All right, one thing that I found the other day is some of the best words literally ever. I mean, just think about these and us making them up. I'm going to talk about a few. All right, so we have the word discombobulated, which means messed up. Kittywampus means that it's off-center. If we're having a brouhaha, we're having a fight, because possibly we've been into some shenanigans, which means shenanigans mean maybe like devious, mischievous behavior. But I also don't want you to lollygag, which means to walk slowly or lag behind. But if I don't like you and I'm calling you dumb, I may call you a nincompoop. Also, if we think about a whippersnapper, that is a young person as opposed to an old person. So you can review this list and kind of think about humans in general and language and how things evolved, is that we've made all of this up, which is totally crazy to me to kind of think about that we have a word in our dictionary that is nincompoop. All right, so we're going to move on to delivery, which is on page 189. Then we're going to talk about nonverbals, and that's going to be the end of speech notes as we have it. Make sure you write this down. Why is a good delivery important? There's 3 reasons. Number 1, it builds a relationship between you and your audience. Number 2, it allows you to share your attitudes and feelings. And number 3, it allows you to convey your intended message. Because we have to remember, with language, is that words can have different meanings. Words that appear on a printed page, they're one-dimensional. We assume that others interpret these words in the same way. But also words pick up additional dimensions when they're spoken, or even more dimensions when we can see the speaker's nonverbals. So the meaning of these word symbols are in the people. They're not in actuality in the words. And we derive our meaning from the verbal symbols through our own backgrounds, our experiences, and our perceptions. And language has several different functions, but when we think about your delivery, is that there are 3 ways that a good delivery is important. Build a relationship, allows you to share your attitudes and feelings, and help you convey your intended message. All right, methods of delivery, there are 4. The first method of delivery we have is considered manuscript. So this is written out and spoken word for word. Okay? For example, like the Pope reading the proclamation of the Catholic Church, is that accuracy usurps eye contact. So therefore, that is a particular delivery method that is used. Number 2 is impromptu. This means spur of the moment or zero preparation. For example, our impromptu speech that we did way back in January is that you didn't have any prep, is that you did that speech in the class on the same day. Number 3 is from memory, is you memorize the material, then you present, which seems like a good idea, but what happens when you get nervous is that we can lose our sensibility, but also we can lose our memory. Number 4. Okay, as you can see, this has all the smiley faces and the hearts. This is the one that we're striving for, because with an extemporaneous delivery, we prepare, we plan, we practice, and we present with little or zero notes. So make sure you remember that one, as extemporaneous delivery is the one that we are striving for.